This episode, you'll be going to ye old London town.
Where we chock-a-block our schedule with sights to see.
We'll try some traditional English breakfasts.
Get cozy at the pub with some quirky locals.
Meet up with some old Camigos.
And stay in an old converted courthouse turned lively youngsters hostel.
And much, much more. Also a guest appearance by Demi Moore. Sorry, I thought that was a funny one.
Hi guys, welcome to the Beanstalk Podcast, where we talk about everything travel.
Sharing first-hand travel advice and getting to the bottom of real-life experiences in the hopes to inspire you to get out there yourself. Are you ready, Freddy?
Are you ready, Freddy?
Okay. Oh, goodness. Never mind.
Excuse me. Are you good? Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
And go.
And
So where we left off, we had gotten to the Lisbon airport, and at this point we'd made our way to London. I think it was a 3-hour flight, roughly.
yeah, just about 3 hours.
But it took forever to get out of the airport once we were at Stansted.
They almost didn't let us into their country because we didn't have onward tickets. So they were wondering what the hell we were doing there. The guy at immigration was questioning us.
Yeah, so you got in line, and it took forever just to get through the line. But as he was stamping people's passports, he had questioned us about our visit, and we were just very free roaming and playing it all by ear. So
We didn't book any tickets out.
no, because we didn't know how long we were going to stay or where exactly in England we were going to go, if outside of London. So
He's like, well,
hesitant.
that sounds like a great lifestyle, and it is coming up more and more frequent that people are, kind of these roaming nomads or these wanderers, these, indie travelers. And so he said that he would let it slide, but for next time, whenever we come in, we definitely have to have a flight onward so we could prove that we're not going to just stay.
Not permanently immigrate and become a resident.
Yeah.
Illegally. But yeah, it was unexpected, and it was very, it was kind of nerve-wracking because we were like, oh shit, are we even going to be able to get in?
Yeah, exactly.
So once we did actually get through, it did take a while also to get a bus from the airport into the London city centre. Stansted, I think, is 50 kilometers away from the heart of London. So it took about an hour. So all of this was adding up to take quite a while.
And the bus, it was pretty cheap. It only cost £2, so that was nice. We still weren't quite used to prices, but once we got into town, we were really hungry, so we stopped at a pizza place. We were immediately aware of the increase in prices. And you gotta think that you're paying pounds now, so the exchange rate at that time was pretty bad. And so say like you're spending, it says £1, you're actually spending like maybe $1.50 or something US. So it's crazy to increase what you're paying by half too.
But
damn this little pencil tray.
because we had just been using euros up to this point, we had to get out or go to the ATM to get out the pound or the quid or the sterling or whatever you want to say.
One of the various names you can call it.
Yeah, but getting out whatever amount we had got out, I don't remember, but looking at the receipt and saying how much you got out and then how much it converted to in US, we were like, whoa, that's really? And then you like instantly did the conversion, and you're like, holy shit, we gotta really watch it. So
yeah,
it was a really big test for us using our budget skills.
Yeah, and wasn't it... Okay, so this was one thing that I'm trying to think of, But when you do go to the ATM and you get it converted, wasn't there a trick to how you get it converted?
I think so. There's like two options.
Yeah.
Either you can have it immediately converted, or you can have it like converted later, and the bank will do it.
Yeah. And which was the one that you wanted to do? Do you remember?
Honestly, I don't remember.
I know. We're going to have to find that out. We will cut this and edit it later. And give you a tip.
I want to say it was immediately converted was the best one.
Yeah, I think it is. But we'll figure it out.
I don't know. I don't remember.
I know, I can't either. But I remember that was a thing.
Yeah.
Because Nick told us. He's like,
because I think
you don't want to
press... I think if... Yeah, I remember Nick saying that. I think it's if it's later, then they like double... Or they don't double charge you, but you know, it's like...
they take more. Anyways, do you like that? Was that a good tip?
We're full of very useful information.
We hope you can take that tidbit with your next travels. And
that maybe do something.
That you should maybe possibly do something when you get ATM.
But we're not sure. Maybe it's the other way.
But I don't know. You'll have to figure it out yourself, motherfucker. But yeah, so it was pretty cool seeing all the, you know, kind of iconic London symbols when you think of London, like the double-decker buses or the black cabs or the red phone booths or the bobbies or cops. They didn't have any guns, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, we noticed that pretty early on, too, because there are a lot of cops around, which... are just noticeable, but I remember being like, none of them have guns.
Yeah.
I noticed. So that was pretty interesting and not something we were used to seeing.
I think they have the little batons, but they don't have, firearms. And I think I want to say it was Portugal or maybe Spain too, they had big guns.
In Paris too, I remember people walking around with like assault rifles.
Yeah, it was kind of unsettling.
Yeah.
It was weird.
They were like a fucking army troop walking down the road with like a tank, not a tank, but you know, like some big fucking vehicle behind them, and they're clearly walking with this big rifle down the street.
Yeah.
It's like a team. We're like, oh, is
something you don't see.
Something going on, or is this like normal?
States. Yeah. It's kind of funny because they get so many tourists. They have right on the sidewalks.
There's big white. It's like letters on the sidewalks or near the crosswalks.
It's actually in the road. Yeah, it's like right in the crosswalks.
But it's like every single one, and it all says "look right" because you know they drive on the opposite side of the road.
Yeah, weirdos.
Or maybe we drive on the opposite. However you want to
look at it. No, we don't.
It.
They're like only one of how many that drive on the left side? It's seriously like Australia. London, Australia.
Well, England.
Or yeah, that's what I meant. England.
Just London.
Just London
drives on the other side.
No, but it's like England, Australia, New Zealand, and then there was
other places in Europe, wasn't there?
Not that many though.
Was it in Asia?
I don't think so. It's crazy. Yeah, that's why I think they have it on the streets, because they don't want people to just keep like look left and then get hit.
But I do remember Jacoby saying, too, that England is... everything's just, like, overly safe, where at, like, other countries it's just, oh, yeah, good luck, make it. Where they're like, look right, wait for the crosswalk. Is it safe, you know?
Put your seatbelt on.
Grab a travel buddy. Hold hands. I don't know.
Anyways, and then the then the London Underground signs were pretty cool, so... That was neat.
Did you want to describe it? Or just be like, that was cool?
No, use your imagination. Just think of what it could be: a triangle, purple maybe, or a pink flower. No, it's a circle, a red circle, with a red line through it, with blue lettering, blue and white lettering that says underground. Is that descriptive enough?
It was good. No, you brought me there.
Did you picture it? Did I bring you to Baker Station? So we walked about an hour to our hostel in King's Cross. It took us a while to find it. we kind of kept walking back and forth past it because we did not expect it to be in this building. But we heard this shout from across the street, and it was some old lady. Well, I mean, she's not too old, but she's...
This old bitch across the street was like...
I didn't say that. No, but she said, clink, clink. And we're like, what?
And was pointing to the building behind us that we had just walked by.
Yeah, and so our hostel was called Clink 78. And we looked behind us, and it was like a courthouse, or an old courthouse.
Which is why we just walked right by it.
Yeah, it did not look like a hostel whatsoever. There were like really large steps going right to it out front. There were some people sitting on them, but we just didn't think that it was a hostel. I think we booked 5 nights there. And it was kind of a younger crowd in there, which was pretty cool, but I don't know. I think we're old souls, so we don't really chill with the youngsters.
We can like adapt and mesh with anyone, really.
Yeah, we can. That's true.
But still, it's...
But it had like a bar in there, and we weren't all about like, let's go party every night.
It's like the young party crowd that wants to blow all their money on drinks every night. And we're like, nah, we're kind of trying to stretch this out and not party every single night. Although, you know, we'll go out and stuff, but it's like, I don't know, it's like new partiers, you know?
Totally.
It's like they don't know what they're doing.
They're kind of there on weekend holiday. They're hooking up with people or, you know, just kind of not really us at the moment. But it was a really interesting building. You know, they had their Wi-Fi rooms were old, like, courtrooms. And then they had, I guess, we didn't stay in any of these, but they had jail cells that you could stay in. The rooms were pretty small, but there was ways for you to have decent privacy. There were bunks, and like all the bunks were pushed up right next to each other. But if you like put your towel up and made yourself a little cubicle, kind of like you do when you're in hostel dorms, then you were able to just get cozy. One thing that was nice was...
So coming from where we had just been for the past while, from Spain and Portugal, and then getting here was that we didn't have any mosquito bites. We weren't getting chewed up, and the weather was cooler. It was July, but we were able to sleep under the sheets or in our bags, and it felt nice without laying there sweating our ass off.
Yeah.
But once we did finally make our way to the hostel, we finally got to shower. And I mean, after spending the whole day walking around Lisbon, being sweaty, feeling gross, getting to the airport,
At
hardly
midnight.
sleeping, and then just being in airports too, and in airplanes, you like sweat differently, and it's just a very gross, like filmy sweat. I don't know, it's like a different sort of grime. So we were just tired and sticky, and you know, getting through the airport and taking the bus into town and going to lunch and then walking to the hostel and just feeling really out of it and really gross. It was so nice to just shower. And then we actually did some proper laundry because they had machines in there. Yeah, we didn't have to wash our clothes in the sink. We actually splurged and got a machine wash.
Can you tell Carl felt gross? No, I remember the showers because there was a big spider above one that I took a shower in. It was really gross and creeped. But yeah, it was nice to get clean and all washed, especially after a couple days travel, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just feels good.
We did notice that there was a lot of really polite people, and
Totally.
yeah, I just instantly was like, I love it here. Like right off the bat, I was just in love with London. The weather was actually sunny. I know they have a lot of rain and kind of overcasty days, but it was sunny, but it wasn't hot like where we had been. The layout of the city was super nice. The air was drier. We didn't notice this till later, but I remember I think it was we tried to get on a bus, and we were like, where do we put the money? And I think we were like, oh, can we, one ticket to whatever stop.
Oh, yeah.
And then the guy was like, oh, well, no, you need a card. And we were like, what?
Yeah.
Just like, yeah, you need this card to get on. So we went back to the station that we were at and asked about, what do we do for getting around? They're like, oh, yeah, you need an Oyster card,
Yeah.
which is basically like a prepaid card. You put money onto it, and then it just, whether you're getting on the tube, the subway, or on a bus, they have a little,
It's like a reader, like a little
like
scanner.
a little scanner thing, and it just automatically takes money off of it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So,
It's
I mean,
handy.
it's super fast versus like counting out all your little change or
Yeah.
counting out your dollars. You just scan the card and get on.
Yeah.
And then
Good.
too, like the bus drivers, don't get held up because they have a ton of cash.
Totally.
Also, like not every station had the Oyster cards. It's like we had to
Yeah,
go to a
that's
certain
true.
station. So it was kind of an ordeal, but once we got it and figured it out, it was really easy and effective.
We learned a lesson. Yay! We went to the pub across the street that night and we fell in love with it. It was kind of an old school pub and it was called the Carpenter's Arms. And so picture the Winchester in Shaun of the Dead, if you've seen that movie.
It was very similar feel anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like if you watch something from a movie and you like envision what it's like to be there. And this is exactly what it felt like. It had like the classic London tap handles.
The kind of like the pump ones.
Yeah.
The green and like white paisley designed carpet, kind of just gaudy carpet. There was kind of an older crowd, I would say at least in their 60s to possibly late 80s,
Yeah. So it felt like there was just the locals that had been going there for, decades.
Yeah, it felt awesome.
And this was just their spot. All these older couples and friends and pals were all there doing karaoke.
Yeah, it was
and
awesome.
it just felt very authentic.
Fucking Pennsylvania. Sorry. Yeah, it totally felt authentic.
I remember sitting there and just looking around and being in my place and just being in the moment with those pint glasses that are like curved at the top, the real imperial pint glasses.
Yeah.
And just being really content with like, I love this here.
Yeah. And I don't know what it is, but the pubs here have something about wooden picnic benches that they put out front. And we sat down, had a couple pints and a couple cigarettes, and we met a regular. And I don't know, quite a regular. I think his pants were glued to the seat because we never saw him leave that place. But his name was JP. KP. Excuse me.
His name was QP. He weighed a quarter pound.
He
and we
worked at
made
Mickey
friends.
D's. But yeah, he never left the place. We saw him there 24/7. It was weird. And he was always in a suit and tie.
He was always dressed up like an attorney or something.
And he said that he was a lawyer, wasn't he? Like he had just gotten a job somewhere. And I'm like, well, how do you have a job if you're here all the time? Because we would like wake up in the morning and our room was facing the Carpenter's Arms and we would look out the window and we'd see him sitting there. We're like, oh, KP's still there. And he was quite the interesting character. He swore that all Londoners were assholes and he was one of the most polite people that we had met. We're like, what are you talking about?
Everyone we've met has been super nice.
Yeah, they were so friendly and just like they have manners, like really good manners, just like very polite and courteous.
We heard this from a few people that like people from London are just pricks.
Yeah.
And we were just like, I don't feel that.
I don't
Everyone's
feel-
been super nice so far. So
No,
maybe we're just getting lucky.
Yeah.
And you guys have been striking out. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, it was kind of cool. Like it almost seemed like the walls to the pub opened up to the outside. Like they were
kept
almost
the doors open.
Yeah, the doors could almost like compact on themselves though, and then like open it up to where it felt kind of like a open-aired kind of pub on one side. So we also were able to listen to the karaoke that was going on the inside. But there was a guy who was the host of it, and he kind of had this Tom Jones kind of vibe going.
Yeah.
And so he was like the announcer and announcing everybody that would go up and sing karaoke. And these are all like, you know, like we said, older people. And so their songs are they're great. I don't know. There was one guy in particular that Carl and I were just like dumbfounded. Kind of didn't even know what to say. We listened intently and watched his show the entire time. And then when he was done, I think we both looked at each other and were like, oh my God. That guy was fucking awesome.
And just like, this is great. This is just great. I'm like so content with where I'm at right now.
Totally.
And happy with the choice that we made.
Yeah. The English beer isn't like the most amazing, I would say.
I remember I had gotten a Foster's, and that's what I was drinking.
Weird.
And it was £3.40. So it wasn't too bad, but
was
you know,
it the
once
big
you
can of Foster's?
No, the pints.
Oh, they were pints? Oh, weird.
Yeah, from the tap.
Oh, I don't remember what I was drinking.
But yeah, it was £3.40 for a pint of that.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, you convert it and then add it up, and if you have like 4 beers, it's like, you know, over $20. It felt like, you know, we can't do this every night.
Yeah, going kind of quick. But while we were sitting out at that picnic table, the owner, her name was Jackie. She came over and was just chatting with us, and she was just a super nice lady.
I think she was the one that was like, you guys were the ones that were looking for the hostel earlier, right? And we're like, yeah, thanks for, you know, showing us where it's at.
Yeah.
Then she just kind of, I don't know, she like unrolled her life story and was very open. And
yeah, totally. It was like we were part of the locals. Like we had been going there for years.
It just felt very welcoming that she was just instantly like, okay, it was almost like she wanted to give us a cliff notes or just like catch us up on their life so we could become part of their regular crowd.
It was awesome.
So I was like, oh yeah, and by the way, this is our life. So yeah, welcome, and you're now part of our life history.
Yeah, it totally was.
So it was just really welcoming, and it felt very comfortable.
Yeah, she was.
We just felt like one of them instantly.
She was a crack up too. She was hilarious.
She was a character.
Then there was a German couple who had lived up above the bar, I think.
Well, they were friends from Germany, but they were just visiting for a while, so they were living
above the bar.
Yeah.
So, anyways, their names were Michael and Mandy, and they had a daughter named Olivia.
It was only 3.
Yeah, and so they were super nice and just friendly. There was a guy named Frank who was always saying goodbye, but he would never leave. It was really weird, but kind of funny.
Yeah, I think he said goodbye to the whole crowd inside or outside where we were at the picnic benches.
Yeah.
And then he had wandered back inside. And he was in there for like another hour.
Yeah, to go to the bathroom or
then
something.
He popped out and was just outside talking. He was there for like another hour.
And he said goodbye. He did this like 2 or 3 times. And
we were
like,
just
and
saying goodbye all night. I don't know. It
wasn't like Jackie when she would be outside and he would come back out. She's like, Frank, are you still here? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, he had this like funny little pose because he was kind of this older guy with this big belly.
Big round belly.
And he would kind of put his wrist on his hip and like have it folded out, you know, like a teapot. And he'd just be sitting there telling stories, and he was a hilarious old guy.
Yeah.
But Jackie, because she was tending bar, but she'd pop out to have a cigarette or just to see how things are going outside, if she needed to shoo when he went away or whatever. And she'd pop out, and Frank would still be standing there telling stories or whatever. And she'd be like, fucking hell, Frank, are you still here? And I think we had like chimed in like, yeah, he's been just saying bye for like the last 2 hours. And then he looked at us just like, who the fuck are these guys? But it was, you know, met with, I don't know, there's something about British, it's like friendly shit talking.
Totally.
You know,
they love each other, and you can tell. It's like almost like siblings, you know?
Yeah, it's like they give each other shit, but not in like an aggressive or
like a super
way.
Serious kind of way. It's just like, oh, who the fuck are these two? And we're like, you don't know us?
Yeah.
It was pretty good, though.
It was hilarious.
Yeah, and yeah, like Carl was saying, it just felt like you were one of the locals. So it was almost this kind of surreal feeling that we had just stepped into, you know, a movie that we have watched for years, and we're part of the crew of, like, you know, the cast.
It almost had a sense of like we came home, like, oh,
Yeah.
well, we're back.
But they just totally welcomed us in. It was pretty cool.
It felt good that they felt comfortable enough to do that too, because you could see because this bar is right across the street from this younger crowd hostel. You notice that other people were coming across and sitting at the benches, and all that would happen to them, they would just serve them and then carry on.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't like they unfolded to them. So I don't know, I felt really lucky and fortunate to have met these people that were just super cool.
Mm-hmm.
Just typical British characters, and that they were like that welcoming to us in particular. It was an awesome experience.
Totally. There was one guy named Mickey.
Mickey. His real name was Michael, but there was another Michael, so they called him Mickey.
So there were stories that he would tell. I guess his dad worked in the music industry and had worked with people or groups like the Stones and the Beatles.
Yeah,
and
big names.
Big names. And so he had met all these different people, you know, throughout his life. And he was even saying names that I have no idea, but, you know, are pretty well known over there. And so it was super interesting just learning all about his life and what he, you know, had done and who he had met or crossed paths with. So that was pretty cool as well.
Yeah, he looked like a big biker guy. He didn't dress in all leather or anything, but he had like one of those, you know, old thin gray hair that was put back in a ponytail, and he was a bigger dude. And you could just see him on like some big hog or, you know. But yeah, he was just like a big teddy bear.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, that was the Carpenter's Arms, and we just loved it. They even had one of those classic last call bells that they would ring.
Yeah.
You know, versus someone over the PA system being like, last call, or, it's like they rang this bell. And even that little detail, I was just like, oh my God, I love it here.
Yeah. So yeah, we ended up meeting up with Jacoby, our old friend from the Camino. It hadn't been too long since we had seen her, but we were, you know, we were with her all the time walking the Camino, so it was nice to reunite and catch up with her. And we went to this really cool wine bar, but where you serve yourself wine, which was kind of interesting. So they had all these like taps almost on the wall, and you would just take your glass up to the taps and press how much you want and fill your wine glass.
And it would, just kind of like charge you on a card or something?
Yeah.
Or...
Mm-hmm. So she treated us to a couple glasses of wine, which was really great. And then she even took us out to dinner to a Indian style like kebab house.
She was saying how great, like it was almost like a big open kitchen, almost cafeteria like.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it just had these guys like whipping up because there was multiple course. Mm-hmm. And you would just pick a bunch of little things, and they would just constantly bring out all this food.
Yeah.
And you could see the kitchen back through these like clear windows, this like windowed out room. It almost looked like a little greenhouse or something. And there's just all these people back there just going crazy, cooking away. And you can bring in your own booze, which is a rare thing.
Yeah.
So you can go to the bottle shop or whatever and, you know, pick out some drinks, whether it's wine or beer or whatever, and bring it in. And yeah, they're basically mostly concerned about, you know, you ordering whatever food you want. And
yeah, it was pretty cool though. It had definitely a different atmosphere, but just that's also one thing that I love about bigger cities is that there are like so many different types of ethnicities. We come from a state which is primarily just white American, and
we live in the Truman Show.
It's weird. And so when you go to these bigger cities and they're just melting pots of all these unique different ethnicities, and you get to go to places like this that it's like authentic food, it just, oh my God, it like enriches the experience. So
it's just, that's culture.
Yeah, it's awesome. But yeah, we after that dinner, you know, it was really, really good food, but we wanted to continue our night and go out to another pub. So Jacoby treated us to a taxi cab that took us to a pub near London Bridge.
It's one of those classic like black cabs.
Yeah, we had
That the
never been in
doors
one of
open
those.
the back way, or the opposite way.
Yeah, yeah. It was pretty cool. The driver was really nice. It's funny because Jacoby's been living in London for the past 10 years, so she's got slight South African accent, but also it's kind of mixing into a London accent.
Yeah.
But the driver knew right off the bat. He's like, "You're from South Africa," and she's like, "What?" But no, it was. He was a nice, friendly driver, and he actually told us the story because we were going to London Bridge. He told us the story about the American millionaire who had requested that he had a replica of the London Bridge built on his property. And it's funny because when you think about it, you're like, okay, the London Bridge, right? It's pretty iconic. You can,
There's a song, that like nursery rhyme
Yeah.
about it. And
But the thing is that I think a lot of people confuse London's Tower Bridge with the London Bridge. The Tower Bridge is very impressive and almost looks castle-like with the two big columns on each side, very, distinct, huge, and there's no missing it. But the London Bridge itself is a very plain, run-of-the-mill, you couldn't pick it out of a lineup bridge. It's like just...
There's nothing like unique or special about it. It's
So I think...
pretty funny.
Yeah, I think that whoever was requested to make this replica was just like, really?
The London Bridge?
Oh.
That's the one you want?
Yeah, no, they really didn't, I think, lead on that it was a stupid idea or request. They just built it.
They
and
built
were
the
like,
Lane Bridge.
They're like, all right, here you go. And the guy's like, wait, what?
Thanks for the check, bye.
Yeah, thanks. What the fuck? But yeah, so he told us that story. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, we got dropped off and we went to this pub. It was called the George Inn after the dinner. And it's right near the Thames, or it looks like Thames.
The Thames.
And every time I say it, it just feels weird. But it's the river that goes through London. And it's called the Thames. But we were up pretty late chatting and just had a great time at this bar. And I actually had gotten an IPA there, like a craft IPA, and it was so good. I'm a big hop head, and when you're drinking like really light, kind of classic for European beers that don't have a lot of flavor.
I'm not a big fan of English beers.
Yeah, so I had found this IPA and it was really good, so I was pretty excited about it.
Yeah, we get a little bit spoiled here in the Northwest of the United States.
Oh, yeah.
The Pacific Northwest in general is just known for its really unique microbrews and hoppiness and very distinct flavors. So
it's like the IPA mecca.
Yeah.
But I was in line ordering a round of drinks, and as I had ordered it, there was a guy next to me also waiting, and he was like, "Where are you from?" I was like, "Oh, I'm from America. I'm from the States." And he was like, "Oh, really? That's so cool. That's so refreshing to meet someone that's, from the States and they're here visiting." And I was like, "Man, you're fucking with me. Like, you're totally..." He was like, No, that's really refreshing to know that, you're not scared of, leaving the country and actually going out to travel and visit places on your own." And I was like, "Oh, for real?" I was like, "Thanks, man." So it was just a really good interaction with another, it was just like another tick off the people aren't assholes list.
Yeah, totally.
Which we kept hearing, and I was just like, man, I don't know. People seem really fucking nice to me.
Yeah, it's weird because you get told that anyone, don't say you're from the U.S. People are gonna hate you, and we didn't come across that hardly ever.
No. Yeah.
Maybe
it was just us too. I don't know, but
I don't know. I didn't want to say that we're from Canada when we're not. I don't want to try to pretend that the states are filled with people who don't want to venture out and see other cultures and all that stuff, and
they just judge a place by what they read or see on TV.
Yeah, so
it could be one of those classic things, like that saying, the grumpier you are, the more assholes you'll meet. So maybe it's them, I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? It's just, we definitely never came across Or I would say very rarely we came across anybody who were like, oh, you're from the States, fuck you, you know? Nothing like that.
Yeah.
We might have just been really lucky. But I think we're pretty cool and chill, so people were very receptive to us no matter where we were from.
Yeah, everyone being so welcoming.
Yeah, totally. Actually, we had ended up meeting up with Jacoby again, but also we met up with Steven Spencer, who had left I think it was the first day we were in Santiago, or maybe they had one night with us and then they had to leave the next day in Santiago. So, but they had gone to Pamplona for the running the bulls, and we were, just catching up with them and hearing all about their experience with doing it. It was pretty crazy sounding. I don't know if I would ever attempt to run with a bunch of bulls through a very crowded city, but
yeah, Spencer had like a GoPro with like a chest strap thing, and he had this video he was showing me of him actually running, and yeah, it seemed pretty intense.
It did, but it was cool hearing their stories because I think they had already also gone to Ireland and done a little bit of traveling.
Northern Ireland.
Yeah, so it was pretty cool. But yeah, they took us or Jacoby showed us and took us to the oldest pub on the Thames, and it was called the Mayflower, and it was from 1620.
Yeah, it's like 400-year-old place, and you could just feel the history in this place.
Yeah.
It's still like the creaky wooden floorboards, and
it's so weird. You get over into Europe and you're going into places and you're seeing places that are literally older than our country.
Yeah.
Or the establishment of our,
right,
now country. At the pub, we had some fish and chips and some pints, and it was really, really good.
It was good. It was expensive, but it was super good.
Mm-hmm. After that, we had walked along the Thames because it was
kind of like a trail or like walkway that goes along the whole river, so yeah, a lot of people do that,
and it was really sunny out, so and Jacoby was joking that when it does get sunny, everybody comes out and pops their shirt off. They're all like, oh my god, the sun, yes, need to put some sun on my very, very pale skin.
Which at least for this visit we had no comparison because we'd never been there before, but every day was just sunny and nice. It was just perfect weather.
We got awesome weather while we were there. But along this walk, we had come to, I think it was a skate park, and we lost Carl. So you stayed true to your Waldo nickname.
I didn't leave was the thing. Like, I turned around and all you guys were gone. So I was like, where the fuck did they go? They were all just right here. So I went trying to find you guys.
So it sounds like our stories don't match up because we were walking, you stopped to look at the skaters, and we were stopping to wait for you because we were at the end of the skate park and you never came. And we're like, where the fuck did he go? So I don't know. It was just, again, like miscommunication or just wandering, and I think, so we just kept walking. We really had no way of contacting you or getting a hold of you because you don't have a cell phone. I don't have a cell phone, so we just kind of had to wait and wonder if you were gonna pop up somewhere. But we ended up finding this Italian restaurant, and we just kind of sat down, and it had been quite a long time that we were walking along the river there, and so we were getting hungry again, and we waited for you to show up, and you did. So we ended up eating dinner. And
actually, Spencer found me.
Did he?
Yeah.
How did he find you?
Well, he's very noticeable. He's got this big beard.
Yeah.
And I had been walking down this along the river, and then I saw Spencer, and he was just like, oh, hey, I found you. We're all over here. We're getting lunch.
Gotcha. So, yeah, we had all eaten dinner, and then I think we had kind of wandered to this open little square area. I had gotten a coffee, and we were just kind of chilling there for a minute. I really had to use the bathroom, so I went into this public bathroom there. It was horrendous. It was really bad, just not clean whatsoever. And it was odd because there were some weird noises coming from one of the stalls. There were two stalls, and I popped into one of them, and it sounded like there were two gals in one of the stalls, and they were pleasuring each other. So it was really weird and awkward. And so I tried to pee as quickly as I could. It was kind of hard to do that. Sometimes you just can't rush it, especially if you have to go really, really bad. But yeah, it was just really weird. And so I rushed out of there as fast as I could. But yeah.
Yeah, it was nice to kind of spend some time again with Steve and Spencer and then Jacoby, kind of like as an old Camino group again, but in a different place. It was just, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. It was cool catching up with everybody, and yeah, it just felt nice.
So a following day, I don't know if it was the next day or whatever,
Yeah.
but we decided we wanted to do a lot of sightseeing because London is just full of things to see and places to go to, and it's just endless.
Say it was chocked.
Chocked.
Did I say it right?
No, you butchered it.
Well, it's not chockered. That's American, or that's U.S. talk. Chockered. It's chocker blocked.
Yeah.
It's chocked. Is that right?
I don't know.
I don't know. You do the accent better than I do.
I don't.
How would you say it?
Chock-a-blocked.
Chock-a-blocked.
I don't think I do it good either.
Okay. We'll just not try.
Anyway.
Anywho.
Yeah, so our sightseeing day, because we had a map from the hostel, and we were still using actual paper maps at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we had gotten used or figured out how to download an area of a city on Google Maps yet.
Mm-mm.
So we were using actual paper maps still to get around and to kind of map out what we wanted to do.
Yeah, we definitely probably looked like tourists.
But we would kind of try to like fold it in a way to where we wouldn't have to unfold the whole map.
Yeah, that's
to where
true.
we could just kind of like bring it out, fold it up, and look at one thing and then put it back in our pocket.
Yeah.
Try not to look as touristy as...
Yeah.
Or just make it as obvious.
Mm-hmm.
But so we tried to map out like a day to where we could kind of go in one direction versus zigzagging back and forth and retracing steps to see everything. But we had checked out Piccadilly Circus and Trafalgar Square. Very just like touristy, kind of shoppy area.
Piccadilly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just full of, like more upscale shops. And
I would almost compare it to like Times Square in New York.
That,
I haven't been to Times Square in New York, but from what the photos I've seen, like it's very similar. Just packed with people. We went to Big Ben and Parliament. And we saw the Tower Bridge, Hyde Park, the Palace of Westminster.
And the Abbey.
And the Abbey there. We went to Buckingham Palace, where we got into a very big fight, which was neat.
I don't remember what it was about, but yeah, it was just, we'd been together in each other's business for so long. It was bound to happen, I guess. But...
Well, I mean, I don't know if we've covered the fights before this, but we had several of them before this, too.
Oh, right.
It's just, I think you're in each other's face all the time. It's like 24/7. And before we even left on our travels, we lived together, but it wasn't like we were seeing each other all the time. We each had our own job.
We weren't together.
Yeah, most of the day we weren't. So we would, do our jobs and had our personal space, and then we would come back, and so it wasn't like you're forced to be with somebody all the time. And this is what we're finding out with traveling with somebody else. So we just had gotten into a tiff, and we decided to separate for the evening because we just didn't want to stay in each other's company. I think there was like not working through this fight at the time. But I had taken the tube or the subway system there by myself, which was a first time for me, but I just took that back to our hostel and just spent the rest of the night there.
And I decided to just kind of stay where I was. I wanted to wander around a bit more. So I had stopped at this, just like a convenience store, and I had my day bag with me, and I saw that they had kind of a deal going on where you could get tall bottles of Beck's. And it was 3 of them for £5, which was a pretty good deal. So I just picked up 3 and then left, and I found this little hangout square. It was really small. It didn't have like, like a grassy field or anything. It was very simple. It just had some bushes, benches with some lights. And then it had some homeless people that basically were sleeping on benches. But it wasn't it wasn't very grimy or dirty. You know, there's like a level of homelessness. You know, some people are gross, some aren't. I guess
I think that's like everybody too.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're living outside and you got all your shit with you, there's definitely some people that have like,
oh yeah,
their shit strewn around, they just fucking stink. Versus like,
you know, like tidy.
Where they're staying, it smells like piss too, because they just like piss off to the side of their bed, or
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Versus this didn't feel like that.
Yeah.
But there was one guy, and he was eating some, I want to say it was like chips or something. But all of a sudden, this fox had popped out of this bush, and I was like, whoa. You know, we're in like the city of London, and this fox pops out of this bush, and I was just like, what the fuck? And so he was feeding it, and then there was a group of other younger people that were also just hanging out drinking and talking, and they were like, is that a fox? And he's like, yeah, you know, they live in this bush, and it's a mother fox, and it's actually got 2 pups in there too. So that was pretty cool and unexpected, just to see kind of like wildlife in the middle of this big sprawling city. But yeah, I had a couple of the backs, and then I had the third one. I was just kind of walking around, and I just spent the night wandering all around Soho, and it was just a very lively area. There's lights and stuff everywhere. There's people all around. There's endless pubs. Just kind of people watch and see all the little shops, and there's almost like, it felt like a red light sort of district sort of area, kind of burlesque-y.
I see what you were doing.
Exactly.
I'm just kidding.
I was like, oh, fucking with that bitch. I'm going to go get some titties in my face.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was just wandering around, and it was just really cool to explore down there at night.
Yeah, that's cool. I just chilled back at the hostel, and I even, so like on the walk back too, it's kind of just different being alone, and I'm small, and I know that, you know, women get messed with in various different places, so I was just a little bit more on alert because, you know, I was by myself. But getting back to the hostel, just chilling. I actually met a couple people out on the steps. I think I was having a cigarette, and there was this one gal who, she was, I think, from like Romania, but she was traveling to London for whatever reason, and then there was another guy that she had met who we ended up chatting for a while that night, and he was kind of an ass. He was just like a pompous kind of D-bag, so I remember hanging out with them for a little bit, and she was really nice, but I just did not enjoy his company, so I just kind of went back to my room and didn't really do much else for the rest of the night.
Okay.
We had gone to another, I guess he was staying at a different hotel down the way, and he was like, yeah, you can come. We have like a little bar out front, and because I think it was too late for us to get drinks there or something. They had closed their bar, so we went to his, and yeah, I just continued to find out what a douche he was. So I was like, yeah, no, I'm good. See you later. And so
was this when I was there too?
No, you hadn't come back yet, but I think once you had gotten back and we both kind of slept the night off and got up the next morning, we were fine. We just needed time to kind of, you know, both be on our own. And so that next morning we actually went out to a breakfast place right around the corner, and we tried a traditional English breakfast. And it was awesome because it was a pretty cheap place too, so it was really affordable. I think it was only like a couple quid for this breakfast, but the breakfast was huge, and it had a couple fried eggs on there, like a sausage link or two, a roasted tomato, which I thought was kind of weird at first, toast, and then some beans. And beans, I also was like, that's kind of weird. But when you put it all together, it totally works. Yeah. It was so good. So yeah, that was like our first introductory to an English breakfast.
Honestly, it feels like they threw in breakfast stuff, and then like they had leftovers from the night before, and they just kind of threw everything on a plate to like start the day.
It was awesome.
It was good.
It was really good. I enjoyed it. We could talk about, there's a couple things that we noted that are just like kind of fun facts or something that we realized once we were there. Just things.
Just those slight detailed differences.
Yeah. And one that I noticed was the iconic red phone booths that you see or that you can envision right now.
That are in like movies.
Yeah, you just know, like just by us saying them, I know you're picturing them in your mind right now. But they've turned, because we don't really use payphones anymore, they've turned into little piss pots or these trash cans or rubbish bins for anybody to just throw shit in. They're really gross.
Because they're still there and people want to take, photos with them in it or, just...
I wouldn't step foot in one of those.
But yeah, it's like we open one and we're like, ooh, it smells like pissing. And it's full of trash. What the fuck? Never mind.
Yeah.
And, it was pretty common that you would find it in that sort of state.
I remember seeing a needle in there. A used needle. It was gross. So yeah, not so romantic.
No.
Or not really the vibe that...
The appeal definitely...
It's lost.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also kind of the pounds, they're heavy. Yeah,
because they have
currency.
A pound coin and a 2-pound coin. Mm-hmm. But they're solid. I mean, we were joking that the pounds felt like they weighed like pounds. Yeah. And if you had a bunch of coins in your pocket, it really weighed it down.
Yeah, totally. But it was kind of like I wouldn't say nostalgic because I never had the feeling before, but all I can think of is like from the movies, you see the person just like throw their one coin down on the counter and slide it to the bartender. So it's just funny, or it was just like a cool feeling to like plop the 1 or 2 pound note.
But we did notice that like the transit system with the buses, the double deckers or whatever, and the tube or the underground, it was super good. It just was really thorough. I mean, it was, once you figured it out and knew how to get to wherever, I mean, it covered everywhere. Yeah. I mean, I know a cab is more direct, but I mean, if you have time then, and you just, want to get to somewhere, you can totally do it.
Totally. Yeah, it's just, we're coming from a city that has barely any public transport.
There's no trains.
No trains.
The bus system we have is pretty shit.
It's pretty shitty. But yeah, so it's just such a... It's
all-encompassing.
Yeah, it's so nice to be like, oh, I need to get over there, and... Normally, I would need a vehicle where we're coming from, but I can literally stop at this train stop and get there easy. Anywhere you are. It's just so connected.
The only thing is that if you do have to take, like, say, 3 trains and then a bus, is that it does add up quick.
Totally.
And if you're like, scan, you're like, holy shit, that just took like 14 pounds to get here. Yeah. And, I still have to get back. Yeah, totally. So, I mean, with us having endless time, we did do a lot of walking. If we were like, oh, well, we can just walk there. Yeah, true. It might take like 30 to an hour versus this direct train. And, after a while, we were like, well, this is really like, I have to re-up on my Oyster card. Yeah. Or we could just, walk there, which...
I don't know that in London we did any of the kind of like scan one card and we both walk in. I want to say we might have tried it a couple times, but it's more regulated than other places.
And they do have people that go on the subways and they'll check your card to see if you scanned yourself in.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
I didn't even notice that until later on when I was going to the London Tattoo Convention, and it doesn't happen all the time, but if it happens, like I've heard like if you didn't scan your card to get on and you just like hopped on, then you could get slapped with a huge fine.
Oh shit. Okay. Well, yeah. So we didn't do any of the kind of like cutting corners kind of bit with the tube. No. We just got our own Oyster card and kind of bit the bullet when we had to go somewhere far. It cost a little extra.
Or we did just walk. So.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But another big cost thing was cigarettes.
Yeah. Smoking is an expensive habit to have in England.
Yeah. And it's so expensive that they even sell half packs, which instead of a pack of cigarettes being normally 20, you can buy a half pack for 10. Yeah. But it's basically £1 per cigarette, whereas like a full pack could be 20 pounds. Or more. So it'd be like $25, $27. Mm-hmm. Or a half pack would be 10 pounds. And so, you're looking around like close to $15 for 10 smokes.
And where we come from, you can get like a pack of smokes, decent cigarettes for probably like
3 to 4.
Yeah, 3 to 4. Well,
I guess now like
now
4
it's
to
like
5.
yeah, $5-6, but
time.
yeah, it's crazy how expensive it is there. Yeah, but our next stop was Ireland, and we just had to book some trains and ferries to get us there. We ended up booking a train to Holyhead, which is a little...
Like a seaport?
Pretty far left in England, obviously, I guess.
It's over to the left.
It's over to the left, I think.
It's on the side.
You know, just the left.
Kind of in the corner.
There's a little outcrop in the sea. But anyways, I remember we were at Euston Station, and that's where you caught the bigger train to get yourself out to Holyhead.
Yeah, it was kind of like the main station was Euston.
But our train got delayed, and so we're sitting there waiting for, like, this train with hundreds of people, and they're all going, what the fuck, where is it? And as soon as it did arrive, they were like, all right, well, you got like a couple minutes to get on because it's leaving on time. And we're like, what the fuck? So,
well, what do you mean it's leaving on time? It's not even here yet. We gotta leave in like 5 minutes.
Right?
Where
it was
is it
weird as shit. So everybody, there were like hundreds of people, and it was this mad dash to all get on this train. But luckily we made it. And it was all right once we got on the train. And it was like about a 4-hour train ride to Holyhead, which was gorgeous. Like, there were rolling green hills and, like, farmlands. There were a lot of lakes and green, like, really just, it looked like the most ideal kind of English countryside. It was gorgeous.
It was gorgeous. And too that it was, July, it was summer, and it still looked like this. Because I'm used to where I'm from. And in the summer, like, everything turns into a big fire hazard, and everything's dry and dead. And here it's July, and everything is still green, lush, rolling hills. And
it was awesome.
Yeah, it was a really pretty ride.
Yeah. But, I think that we got ourselves over to Holyhead, and next week we'll be going to Ireland.
Yeah.
And
we'll all be hopping on that ferry across the Irish Sea and heading to the Emerald Isle.
Ooh.
Ireland.
We might turn it into a couple episodes.
Because it was pretty full on with us getting around and doing excursions and checking things out. And yeah, we definitely covered a lot of ground.
We've got some stories for Ireland.
So stay tuned for next time. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Bye.
If you liked what you heard, subscribe to our podcast.
If you feel inclined, leave us a comment or review. Tell someone you know who might enjoy to have a listen, and feel free to share on your choice of social media.
If you want to know more about us or see any photos of our travels, you can check out our website at trailofbeans.com.
We also have a Facebook page where you can follow us on our upcoming adventures and get updates along the way, which can be found by searching @The Bean Trail.
We'll be back next week. Same beans,
same podcast.